Wow, here we go, everybody. This is Dan Wynn from Private Lending Group. I want to thank you all for joining me this evening as we go over our different loan programs and talk about some of our objectives for 2019. Hopefully, everybody out there has got a lot of objectives, a lot of goals, a lot of things they want to make better in their lives. So, let me tell you a little bit about Private Lending Group and myself. I've been in the mortgage business for over 30 years. I started my own mortgage company when I was 24 years old. My first office was in Oak Lawn, Illinois, same place that I grew up in. And I had an office at 95th and Cicero, and I began brokering loans to homeowners. And I was helping homeowners achieve the American dream. The American dream of homeownership was a really good gig or a good career or a good job. I didn't realize it at the time when I was 24. I just somehow was always good with numbers and somehow liked playing Monopoly. And so eventually I kind of lucked into it. I lucked into it only for the simple way that a lot of people luck into things. They try other things that work or don't work and then they find something that they actually like. And that's exactly what happened with me getting into lending and into mortgage brokering back in 1988. And the one thing about today is today I only work with commercial real estate loans or investor real estate loans. And what we're going to talk about this evening is about how you can also originate and make money with commercial and investor real estate loans. Now, you know, or if you don't know, I'm going to let you know, if you were doing regular loans, meaning FHA conforming, Fannie Mae, people that live in the property, that requires licensing. And there's nothing wrong with that. I was licensed for over 20 years, but this form of lending does not. So it's a good way to get into the business. And some people even start out this way and end up doing regular loans or both. So the one good thing that I want to tell you about with our loans, meaning the private lending loans, is many times we can fund loans in as little as 2 weeks. That rarely ever happens when we're talking about conforming and FHA loans. As the people out there realize, many of you are rehabbers. If you've tried to sell a property, somebody needed to get an FHA loan, they did not close those in 2 weeks. They could take 2 months or more. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just the way that part of the business is. So the good news is, and the reason why I'm spending a little time on this is because if the loan closes in 2 weeks, it means what? It means you can get paid in 2 weeks. And that's what we're excited about for you. So what do? I help investors make money, both passive and active. Let me explain. What's a passive investor? A passive investor is somebody or some person or company or pension plan or insurance company that has money that they need to get a return or a yield on. And those people are not in the market to buy properties and fix them up. They do not want to fix up properties and deal with the responsibility of that. They also are looking to just write a check and collect interest. Last year, we helped our passive investors earn over $2 million. Our active investors are the people that are mostly on the line here. Those are the people that are out there, like yourselves, buying properties at a low price, fixing up and selling them, or fixing them up and then keeping them for long-term rentals. Eventually, they would pay those loans off and build some net worth through real estate by gathering these assets, hanging on to them, managing them for the long haul. We also are lending in sales, marketing. So we basically not only lend money, and obviously we have to sell, we have to market those services, but we service the loans. And what that means is that I have the responsibility that if the people we lend money to do not make their payments, I have to handle that problem. I have to do the collections for my investors I have to work on the foreclosures. I have to work through the bankruptcies. Anything that happens, we are servicing these loans. We also are responsible for making extensions when the rehabbers put in a draw request, when we're holding on to escrowed funds. We handle all that responsibility in-house. What also we do is we're proud of the fact that we make fast decisions and we do fast closings. In addition, we prepare our own loan docs. Because we prepare our loan docs, we do not have to wait 48 hours or 72 hours from the clear to close to get a loan closed. Oftentimes, depending on the time of the day or the time of the week and how busy we are, we can get a underwriting clear to close and close the loan the next day or the day after. One of our specialties over the last few years is helping people that have been delinquent on their taxes, and we market and sell to those people. It is a very niche market, and we're going to have a lot of seminars and webinars explaining that in the weeks and months ahead. We're also looking for joint venture partners, people to help us market our products, whether that's tax foreclosures, loans, or joint ventures. So the reason why I started this or called for this webinar tonight and invited you to join me was because I wanted to figure out how you could make some quick money originating hard money loans. And hard money loans have many different names. They could be private money loans, they could be hard money loans, they could be rehab loans, they could be fix and flip loans, they could be investor loans, commercial loans, everything except owner-occupied residential. How to originate hard money loans begins with step one. You need to contact your friends, clients, or referral sources. If you are a professional, if you're a heating and air conditioning person, if you're an accountant, if you're a realtor, you obviously run across people that own property. And sometimes, if you're dealing with investors, they will need financing. So you need to figure out on your list who are the people that may need investor funding in the future. Then you would contact them and you would call them by phone, send them any business card, flyers, emails, loan applications programs, which I will give a link at the end here so you can get a copy of our loan programs. Many of you would have been able to download those with the email inviting you to this webinar. So that's a good place to go back in case you can't find a link. You go back to the email that called for this webinar, and you can go in there, and there was a link there that allowed you to download our 2-page application and our 2 full color brochures going over our 2 primary loan programs. The next thing you need to do is pre-qualify people. So obviously, we cannot do loans for any and everybody. We can do loans for a lot of people, and we're looking for the people that meet our needs. And our needs are people that have skin in the game. We don't have any investor loans for people with no money down. We don't have any investor loans with people with 10% down. But we do begin offering loans for real estate investors with a minimum of 20% down. If the investor owns another property free and clear or with a lot of equity, we could achieve 90 or 100% financing by cross-collateralizing both properties. So you need to learn how to ask the 7 questions, which we're going to go through later in this presentation, which is how to qualify a person so you're not wasting your time. Next thing, we're going to show you how to check the value online. The first thing you should do when you think you have a good lead or a good prospect is you need to go online and take a look at the property and see what you think of the property. Is a property in a desirable area? Is a property a good-looking property? Does the property have a minimum after repair value of $90,000 to $100,000? Private lending group will rarely fund loans that have a after repair value lesser than $90,000. So if the property is only a $50,000 or $60,000 property, we will most likely not fund that. Last but not least, you'd have your applicants, if they do qualify and you decide to fill out the application, the simple 2-page application that we just spoke about, you would have your Borrowers sign those, so you could turn those in and we can begin the loan process. Step number 2. This is what we were just talking about. How do we qualify borrowers? With 7 simple questions. These are the same simple questions that I've been asking people that are interested in loans every day for the last 20 plus years. And the first question when somebody calls up and is referred to me or responds to some of our marketing, I ask them, is this for an owner-occupied or non-owner-occupied? And why do I ask that question? I alluded to it a few minutes ago, because we are not financing owner-occupied properties. And I'll be more specific. We are not financing owner-occupied 1 to 4 unit properties. Now, let's say you get a lead, somebody that has a 5 unit property, and they live in it, or 6. That is a loan that we could finance. That is not a prohibited loan. 1 to 4 units are prohibited because you need to be licensed to do an owner-occupied. If you're an owner-occupied and you have a storefront and apartments on the top of it, that is also allowed because it is a commercial property. So there are some exceptions, but mainly 1 to 4 units, owner-occupied, we cannot finance. There are some rare exceptions. Call me if you think you have one of those. So the first question I want to know is it owner or non-owner occupied. As soon as I find out it's non-owner occupied, I want to know, hey, where is this property located? Because I want to see if it's somewhere that we're lending. Now, currently, our primary market is Chicago in the state of Illinois. We do cross over into Indiana, Wisconsin. We have funded loans in Minnesota, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, Texas. So those are the states that we've done loans in. Those, if you have a unique situation, the only thing I can say is submit it if it qualifies in this manner. The property is in a subdivision or an area where all the properties are similar. They all have a minimum after repair value of $100,000, and it looks like a cookie cutter neighborhood where it's easily able to establish the value. We will make exceptions, and we do often when people bring us stuff out of state. But if you give me something in rural Kansas, where the next closest Walmart is 75 miles away, that is not going to be a deal for us. So question number 3 is, what type of property and does it have income, right? Because we're dealing with investor loans. We want to know what type of property and does it have income? Is it a 1 unit? Is it a 25 unit? Next question I want to know is, what is the value or the purchase price? At this point, we want to figure out if this is owner-occupied or they're getting ready to buy. If it's not owner-occupied, but if it's already owned by the investor or they're looking to make a purchase. Next question I want to know is, if they already own it, do they owe any money on it? I want to establish if there's any equity or not. If it's a purchase price, the next question I'm going to ask is, do you have money to invest in your project? And if so, how much? I want to know, do they have that 20 to 30% that is required for investors to buy investor property? Number 6, how much money is needed to rehab? Obviously, many of our loans are rehab loans. So I want to know how much money is needed, how much money they've already put into the project, all the different questions. And last but not least, how urgent do you need to close, or how soon do you need to close? All these 7 questions should allow me to figure out and establish whether there's equity and whether it meets our minimum qualifications and how motivated they are to close. Notice how I did not go into credit, I did not go into income, which are still very important. We still appreciate all of our customers that have good credit. They do pay traditionally better than the lower FICO scores. But I'm happy to announce and to let you know that we still allow FICO scores under 600. The thing that we trade off with somebody with a low FICO is a lower loan to value. So if a person has a 534, which I just got one of those, just received one of those this week, up in the suburbs of Niles, and the property was inherited and it's worth $300,000. The FICO score was very low, so we said the maximum loan to value we would do on that loan is 55%. So that is a $160,000 loan on a property that we feel very safe with the low FICO, that we have enough spread. And obviously, once they fix up the property and sell it, we should be paid off with very little risk to us. So here's a copy of the commercial loan application. Once again, there is a link in the emails that I sent you that has the application and the brochures. As you can see, it's a simple 2-page application. If the property owner is a corporation or a trust, you would just put that on one of the two sides here. There's room in here for 2 borrowers. So if it's a corporation, you'd put the corporation, the EIN, and then you'd put the guarantor. We do require personal guarantees for people that have properties in land trusts and corporations. Here's a copy of our primary brochure that shows that we have 2 main products. Our main product on the left is our rehab fix and flip loans, and those are our 12-month interest-only loans. It shows on here that we have a minimum FICO score of 600. It shows that our lowest rate is 10%, and it shows that we will allow to corporations and trusts. On the right-hand side, we have a bank statement rental loan program for those customers that qualify. And we only do these once the property is stabilized, fully rented, cash flowing. And we need the cash flow to figure out what's the loan to value and the interest rate that we would offer. But our customers have been able to get rates, 30-year loan with a 5-year balloon in the 7% range in the past 12 months. We do have a minimum FICO score on that product of 680. So to go over what I just talked about, the loan programs that we have available are fix and flip and investment loans. We have done office buildings, apartment complexes. I've done a bowling alley, a gas station. I've done many different unique properties over the last 20 years. We love fix and flip and rental loans. We love it when you have experience. We will take on first-time fix and flip people if they have some compensating factors. And compensating factors will be things like a strong W-2 job with a strong reserves in case they underestimate what's going on, because oftentimes many people underestimate how much it costs to actually rehab a property. We will do 1 to 4 unit properties all day long, condos, townhomes. We basically have a bank statement loan program. We do not ask for W-2s or pay stubs. If you have them, you want to submit them, that's fine. But typically we look at a minimum of 6 months bank statements or 12 months preferred to make sure that the borrower has enough cash flow to qualify for the loans that they're applying for. Once again, I reiterate, all FICO scores will be considered. We will just modify the loan to value. Okay, once again, we will lend, and we prefer to lend to people that have their properties in a corporation. So if the property is in a LLC or corporation, we need copies of the operating agreement, bylaws, signed and dated, articles of organization or incorporation, certificate of good standing, and that would be the necessary items. Once again, if the borrower is closing in their individual name, we want a copy of their last 6 months bank statements or 12 months, the more the better. A copy of check, a copy of what is associated with personal bank account. That is only necessary before the loan goes to closing, because we do put all the loans on auto debit, so the money will be deducted from their checking account on a monthly basis. So if they're not self-employed, they have a W-2 and pay stubs, we'll take that in lieu of the 6 months bank statements. In addition, we need to make sure we have a copy of all the rental properties that they own, any experience that they have, and we do provide templates on our website, privatelendinggroups.com. Step 3, find a lender that accepts your loan request. Now, we would love to be able to fund all your loans, but we know that we will not be able to fund all your loans. And because I want to add value to you, I don't expect you to bring me all of your loans. I only expect you to bring the good loans or the loans that qualify for our qualifications. So here's some tips for you if you want to learn how to broker commercial loans that don't qualify at Private Lending Group. You need to help the borrower create a loan summary. And what's a loan summary? A loan summary is like, here's my name, here's what I bought, and it's the things that we did like with the 7 questions. Here's what I'm buying it for, here's what I'm rehabbing it for, here's the after repair value, here's the projected rent, here's what I bought it for if I already owned it, here's how much I spent rehabbing it. I own it free and clear now, so I want to take the money and I want to invest it in another property. So you have to put a good 1-page loan summary together with who the person is that's asking for the loan and highlighting their assets being their W-2, job, their FICO score, the low loan to value, the neighborhood of the property, the value of the property. You have to do that in a loan summary. Next, you submit your loan summary with a loan application to us or another lender that best matches the loan request. You have to learn how to follow up with the lenders every day to make sure that they received your request and that they are processing and seeing if it fits your qualifications. If it does not, and a lender like us turns it down, not a problem. I'm going to show you on the next slide how you could, some other sources that you could use to potentially fund your deals. But more importantly with us, when you send us a good deal, you will get an approval. So here are some other funding options when we cannot fund your loan submission. Scotsman's Guide, you can go online, just look it up. It's listed all the commercial lenders across the nation. C Loans and Cost Resource, some very good people running these companies for a long time. They give you a lot of options to do some funding for you. Step 4, how to process an approved loan. Once the loan is approved, the borrower will receive a loan approval, and we call our loan approvals a LOI or letter of intent. And that letter of intent describes everything that we're going to do. It puts the subject property on there, puts the loan amount that we're willing to loan, the fees, the interest rate, the term, the documents that we will need in order to go to closing, which includes a interior BPO. The good news with Private Lending Group is we don't require an appraisal. As you may or may not know, an appraisal today costs $500-600, and a 2, 3, or 4 flat appraisal could cost $800 to $1,000. So whether the property is a single-family home or a 4 flat, or even a commercial building, rare exceptions, but under 10 units, up to 10 units, we can do a BPO, and we only typically charge the borrower $300 to get an interior BPO. So here's some of the documents that we spoke about, and this is what's needed and usually what's on our loan approvals. So we need supporting documents like corporation or trust documents, copies of leases, proof of income or bank statements, HUD-1s if they already purchased the property. Rehab budget is very important if the money is being used for rehab. We want to know what their exit strategy is, and we do pull the credit report. So we pull the credit report before we issue the approval. Once you receive all those and you help your borrower get these documents so the loan can close quickly, you turn those into Private Lending Group. Follow up with us, make sure that we have them, and work. Then as soon as we get the interior BPO and the title report back and insurance with the lender named on the insurance policy, we can get it clear to close for funding. So let's recap today. Today we went over the Private Lending Group guidelines and loan programs available in 2019. How you would submit a loan approval with our simple 2-page application, what it takes to process our loans, and what it takes to get the loan to closing. Once you learn how to do this a couple of times, The only thing I could say to you is let's repeat, repeat, repeat. Keep bringing good loans, and let's develop this business together in 2019. So if you want to get a hold of me, here's my cell number, my direct number, 312-719-7195. You can text me there. There is my email if you want to send me any deals. And please visit our website. We're always putting new information on there. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to get informed about what we're doing in 2019. We will have a lot of other webinars coming up going over the taxes and some amazing income opportunities that we're going to share and try to find some great joint venture and affiliate partners in 2019. I hope you have a great night, and thank you for joining one more time. Take care.